next question. The biggest X factor this season. I don't want to go like specifically a player per se. I wanted something like Justin Moore coming back when he gets healthy, things along those lines. So, Fanta, I am going to you first on this one.
Does Auburn's backcourt get more efficient? Because if they do, then I think that the Tigers are a real factor in the SEC. But if it's more of the same, they're going to be all over the place again in this league. Look, they're a preseason top 15 team in the AP poll. They're thought of highly, but Wendell Green just had his moments of frankly being a roller coaster last year. He was all over the place. KD Johnson, as much as you like him one day, you didn't like him the next. And then Zeb Jasper, again, another guy that was a little bit all over the place. I think Alan Flanagan is an important piece to this team just because can he get closer to what he was as a sophomore? Last year, it felt like I don't think so, but that's my point. To me, like we talk about the SEC, and I think that whole league is the X factor nationally because Arkansas's freshman class, just how great are they going to be? We think they're going to be pretty doggone great. Will Kentucky live up to the hype? Tennessee might be the X factor team in the nation because I think they're better than what we even might have thought after what they did to Gonzaga, exhibition nonetheless. But is Arkansas going to be an SEC title contender? We'll see. If that backcourt's not any more efficient, it's not going to happen.
Yo,
which Carolina are we going to get? Like, which North Carolina team are we going to get? Biggest X factor is one, are they going to play any defense consistently? That was an issue last season during the regular season. Then the last 6 games of the year, they really turned it on. So we certainly know their potential. And another thing with that same Carolina team is who's going to be the X factor is who are they going to bring off the bench that they can rely on consistently? Because they got really good at the end of the year when they shortened that bench to about 6 dudes. Or they shortened their playing time to about 6 dudes. And then that ended up costing them in the national championship game. That team has talent. Are we going to see that talented team that we saw in March all season long? Or are they going to kind of drag their feet and let Virginia win the league like a lot of people think that will happen and then be good in the tournament? What's your goal there?
I don't think a lot of people think Virginia's going to win the league. I think
more people. I think people who voted them to win the league, the ACC, are also very cognizant of the fact that they probably won't, because I think Virginia's consistency in their approach is every game. Where I'm not sure Carolina. I think their ceiling is much higher because of that talent, but not necessarily their defensive effort is as consistent. Are you going to be able to get that all season long? I think that's the big X factor, and their depth is a big X factor.
Yeah, I also think Virginia is better than the kind of the public at large realizes. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, well, I picked them second. And the only reason I picked them second was because I felt like Carolina deserved preseason number 1 nod. But I think Virginia, because of their consistency, is going to end up.
Yeah, I think we're going to.
They were a year away last year. Virginia was a year away last year. They're here now. Like
I think we're going to end up talking about them at some point in one of these other topics. I got a feeling someone's going to bring them up. My biggest X factor this season is what Creighton is on the offensive end of the floor. I think that they are going to be an elite defensive team. I'm talking like top 10 defensive team again, what they were last season. My question is, one, is the shooting going to come around? They finished last season ranked outside the top 300 in 3-point field goal percentage. Never in Greg McDermott's tenure at Creighton had they ever finished outside of the top 160 before. And there were only 2 years where they weren't a top 65 team in 3-point shooting. Those were the 2 years after Doug McDermott graduated, when they just moved up to the Big East and then lost a whole bunch of seniors and kind of had to rebuild and get back to being a Big East program in that conference. Same thing as their turnover rate. They finished last year ranked turning the ball over on more than 20% of their possessions, right? Outside the top 300 again. They had never been outside the top 180 in turnover rate in Greg McDermott's tenure at Creighton before this. And for I think out of 70% of the seasons, they were like top 50, top 60. They are almost always a very good, very efficient, well-oiled offensive machine. Last season, with all those new faces, with some of the injuries, with the fact that they basically had 2 freshman point guards running the show, they struggle on that end of the floor. So if they could end up being the elite offense that I expect them to be, with the addition of Baylor Shireman, with the fact that Kaluma, Nemhart, and Trey Alexander are all sophomores. Combine that with Ryan Kalkbrenner at the 5, lockdown defense. I mean, look, if they're scoring at the rate that you expect a Greg McDermott team to be able to score, that to me is a top 5 team in college basketball.